Oh God, what was it? Had it on the tip of my tongue. I don't know. What the other one would be the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any recollections on that?
The one that pops to mind was the back lot of 20th Century Fox, which is now Century City.
Yeah.
Was just open fields, and that's where they built half of the spaceship. Was out there, and I remember everybody being around a 55-gallon drum that had a fire in it because it was so damn cold. Everybody was standing around this thing trying to get warm.
Oh wow!
But other than that, other than remembering that Michael Rennie was just a really sweet guy, and hit on my mom, which was interesting. Made sure that she had a chair, and get coffee and that kind of thing. Apparently he was somewhat of a ladies' man, and my mom was a looker for sure.
Wow.
And so I remember that part, but other than that, it was just another movie. I didn't realize it was going to be a really, really important movie. I mean, that's the movie that I'm most proud to have been involved with.
Wow.
I mean, it's as timely today as it was 70 odd years ago.
Agreed. Agreed.
I mean, we're still fucking around with nuclear weapons. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. It must have been cool to see the spaceship.
Well, that was a typical Hollywood set thing. But it looked great from the front, but in the back is all 2x4s and
yeah. Still cool though. I mean, I still have that visual in my head
cool.
of that spaceship.
As a matter of fact, one of my favorite shots of myself was the shot where I see Gort knock the heads together of the guards that are standing there, and I go, oh! I remember the screen direction in the script. I don't think Robert Wise gave me this instruction because I remember seeing it in the script. His eyes are as big as saucers.
Which is ironic, by the way.
Yeah, I think he knew he was making a little pun there. Whoever wrote the thing.
Right. Very cool. Another one would be On Moonlight Bay with Doris Day.
Oh yeah, they were really fun movies. I got a lot. I had a lot of physical stuff to do in both of those.
Oh, wow.
With the turkey in one of them, and then I was a detective in another one. I forget. On Moonlight Bay, I think was first, and then By the Light of the Silvery Moon was the second one, and it was a couple of years later. That movie, incidentally, Moonlight Bay, produced the most revenue for Warner Brothers to date. To when up until that time.
Wow.
That was the movie that made Warner Brothers the most money.
Oh my God.
Yeah, far
really?
out, huh? Yeah. So of course they did another one, but I like the second one because it was about a year or two later, and my acting's had improved somewhat.
Yeah.
And but they're both great movies, and Doris Day was just everything you hear about her is true. She's just a wonderful, marvelous lady and super person, and no airs at all. And such an accomplished person. I mean, she sang and she acted and she
everything.
Was everything. Yeah, and she was a pretty good-looking lady as well.
She was an attractive woman. Well, she sounds a little bit like Jane Wyatt in that sense. By the way.
Yeah. We got we didn't really get close, but you could tell that she was just a nice lady. I mean, she didn't go immediately to her dressing room after the shoot. She's kind of one of the gang on the set. Really super lady.
Right. It's not like, hey, don't talk to Dora.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
And conversely, Gordon MacRae, which apparently he had a little bit of a drinking problem as well. That I can't. I don't know that.
That's fine.
But apparently he was having emotional difficulties because he was aloof and did go to his dressing room right after the shot, and you never saw him. He wasn't.
Wow.
He was kind of a non-person on the set.
How interesting. Yeah, and he was another, he had that voice.
Yeah.
What about another person that I was always intrigued by is Bob Hope, and you were in the Seven Little Foys. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I've seen that movie, and I have to admit, until I researched, I was like, wow, Billy Gray was in that.
Yeah.
What do you recall of that?
I recall Bob Hope being a really good actor.
Wow.
I don't think he's credited with being as good an actor as he actually was.
You are correct. I think you're right.
And I remember a scene we had where I played Brian Foy, the oldest kid in the show, and he's at my bedside, and I think I have a line to "You just passing through, Dad," or something like that. So it really, and it was a good scene, and it was an emotional scene. And the one thing I do remember about the movie that I wasn't all that happy with was which you don't do very much anymore, I don't think. But at the time, they promoted the movie with Bob and the kids going around to different theaters and doing a little song and dance prior to the movie, or after we were somebody. It was promotional. We went to like Chicago and several cities. I remember. But we had to wear these. What's canary yellow knickers and a suit, and it was just and I was like 15 or 16 or 17 or something. You know, it just really wasn't. So I remember being not too happy about that, but really impressed with Bob Hope.
And was he, when you were on those tours and stuff, was he an approachable guy? Like
no, he was like another like a Doris Day. He was one of the guys. You know, he didn't have any airs of I'm Bob Hope. You know, none of that. And he gave all the kids, he gave watches from your dad, Bob Hope.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it's sweet.
All right. Do you still have it?
You know, I think I have it, but I don't wear a watch, so it's somewhere.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah. You know, it's funny because if we're talking about actors that have could have heirs or whatever,
yeah.
And there's a guy easily could have. He was huge.
Oh, it was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and here he is just being one of the guys.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really
nice. I did some summer stock. And I did let's see, Enter Laughing and Come Blow Your Horn.
Both great.
Yeah, but I had this one guy. Well, I had two guys. Both these people involved in the summer stock. It was Bracken, Eddie Bracken. Eddie Bracken,
right. Yep.
A jerk.
Yeah.
And Alan Mulberry.
Yeah.
Another jerk.
Huh.
And so my summer stock was counting the days when I can get out of this, because both of them were just not pleasant people at all.
How interesting! Yeah. It's funny about acting, and one thing I appreciate about you is you appreciate I don't mean the luck, but the opportunity that you've had to do what you've done, and it's like. I think when you have people like that and they take on those errors, it's like, hey, you're fortunate to have had the opportunity to even be where you're at.
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of cool. I appreciate that. I have an acting background, which I've said many times to people, but so I get it. I understand like how you, and I'm like, hey, that's a huge accomplishment. There's nothing taken away there.
Well, I invented a religion called Pincherism.
Which one's that one?
And you pinch yourself to be aware of how lucky you are.
Yeah.
And that's the sacrament, is you pinch yourself on a regular basis, or when needed. Let's put it that way.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
What about All I Desire, Barbara Stanwyck?
Yeah, that's another sweet lady. She was just wonderful. Yeah,
tough.
Yeah, and she could have had heirs, I mean, and didn't at all. In fact, threw a little birthday party for me, a surprise birthday party. We were in rehearsal of the scene where I enter, open a door and come in. Mm-hmm. and we break for lunch and come back and we start again. And I open the door, and surprise! So she gave me a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Nice lady, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really
It was
nice
a
lady.
good bicycle too. It was really not just a bicycle, but a really hot bicycle, Bianchi.
Wow.
A good one.
Wow, very cool. I love hearing that kind of stuff. Awesome. And then you know, obviously you did television as well. Do you any recollection of Rawhide with Clint Eastwood?
No, I know I think I did a Rawhide,
Yeah.
but I can't remember. I can't remember anything about it. I did it after the, I got busted for grass.
1962.
Shortly after the show was over.
Right.
And my agent at the time said, "Hey, I can't represent you anymore." And
It was a different time.
MCA,
Yeah.
and I think it was Ned Tannen.
Oh,
But
that's a big agent.
yeah, but they couldn't get me into an interview apparently, just because the grass thing. Nobody really made any. You might as well have been a heroin addict, basically.
No, I totally get it. That was 1962 compared to today. Is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
night
different
and day.
thing. As a matter of fact, when I did some time behind, I did 45 days at a place called Wayside Honor Ranch.
Yeah.
And my job at the Wayside Honor Ranch was handing out athletic equipment and balls and stuff. And Mitchum had
Robert Mitchum?
he'd been there for his grass bust.
Oh, jeez.
And he donated all the athletic equipment to that I was handing out to people.
Oh, is that
But
funny?
it didn't hurt his career at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny about that. I was like I said, I did a lot of research on any of that, and I kind of felt like, not that you want to look at that and say, well, that was a great thing that happened to me. But in some respects, I felt like you have, as much as you enjoyed acting, you've always loved motorcycles, motorcycle racing.
Yeah.
And in a way, it kind of like, I felt, even though you did other roles and things like that, I felt like, okay, well, this gave you an opportunity to say, you know what I really want to do is I want to be a motorcycle guy.
You're right on. That's exactly the way I felt about it. I mean, I did like acting, and I probably would have had a career somewhat similar to Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
Because we're both about the same size, and size was an issue with being a leading man. Not too many. Well, there's been a few.
The very famous one is
Sure, Alan Ladd.
Thank you, Alan Ladd. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of others as well. Were diminutive people. I kind of used it as an excuse. Because Bogart's not that big either.
Right. That's what I've heard.
Cagney. It goes on and on and on. There's a lot of little guys who've done okay.
Yeah.
So I can't really use that legitimately as an excuse,
Right.
but I kind of did. But I didn't really feel all that bad about it. The fact that I wasn't able to, and I was only, even after the show was over and before the bust, I was only getting offered parts that were another Bud Anderson part, and I'd done Bud. I was fully tired of doing
You did
Bud.
like 200 episodes of the show.
200 episodes, yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. The other one, Adventures of Superman, George Reeves.
That's one I'd forgotten about that totally. I didn't know.
Wow.
In fact, Jack Larson had to tell me. I knew Jack independent of that show. I didn't. I realized he was on that show, but I didn't know that I'd done. I'd forgotten totally that I'd done it, and he had to convince me that yes, you did. In fact, you did do a Superman.
Oh my gosh!
And
wow.
And Jack and I were good friends. He wrote a play called The Candied House in something called Heroic Couplets that I'd never heard of before.
No, I don't know that.
And he convinced me to play the lead role. It's just Hansel and Gretel kind of thing where you where is it? forgotten what the story was now, but I remember not feeling really up to doing that, and he talked me into doing it, and I'm glad I did, you know.
Yeah, it challenged you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. I first I said, nah, I don't think so, you know, but
Right.
I came around.
You know, the other side of this is when I was looking at your career and stuff like that is you never actually you had the studio school, the studio teachers and that, but you never had I went to elementary school, I went to whatever, but at the same time I find you also to be incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart. You become an inventor, you become a businessman. How did you ever, well, first of all, I mean, I want to hear about the F1, the guitar pick and that, but did you ever regret or ever think, gosh, I wish I could have gone and studied for a while?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I even tried I went to LACC for a couple of years.
Sure.
But I didn't really have the background. And if there's anything that's a downside of being a kid actor, and there's a lot of upsides to it, but I mean, a downside is that as often as not, your formal education is kind of just thrown aside.
Yep.
And I think I would have benefited by having civics and well, you know, like trigonometry and that kind of thing. I think I probably would have been a fairly decent student had I wanted to. And I mean, I could have made more of the education that was offered to me, but I really didn't want any. I mean, it was so perfunctory. And well, the deal was that you had to spend 3 hours in a school setting, which was like a, you know, what they call them, 4x4s. And with a table in the middle. And it could come at any time. You know, like you'd go in a block a shot, and then go to school for 15 minutes while they lit the shot. You know, and then you come back and do the shot, and then after you go back. And so it's a fulfillment of the law,
right,
technically, but not really education. You know.
No, you're not learning much in between those moments. That's for sure. Did so? Tell me about the F1 guitar pick. I mean, I even looked it up. I checked it out. I mean, there's something. I actually saw Roger McGuinn as somebody promoting it. How did that all come about?
Well, I had a friend, another friend who I had. I mean, I know this guy for 40 years or something. Turns out he was embezzling almost the whole time.
Oh.
When he had a stroke, he was a guitar player.
Yeah.
And so we're speaking about the F1. Guitar players frequently tape extra picks to the mic stand. In case they drop one, they can just reach up for get another one.
Yeah.
So we were thinking of something that could go on your guitar strap that you could reach up and grab a thing. So we made this guitar pick that had it folded back on itself, and so it had a kind of a stickiness. You could stick it on your thing, and you could reach up and.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that little curve that enable it to stick in, it rested it right on your index finger, and it made it terrifically stable. It didn't wander around, and because that's what happens ordinarily if you don't really pinch down on them as you're playing. They twist in there, and this avoided that, and so you could hold the thing with a light grip. You didn't have to, you know.
Yeah.
And that loosened up your whole arm and everything. So it had a whole bunch of side benefits that we weren't anticipating at all. But it really is a good. And my partner, like I say, he's the guitar player, and I've got a Bridgeport milling machine in my garage, and I can make things. I can make prototypes, and so that's what we did. He'd come up with these problems, and I'd come up with the solutions to the problems, and so it worked out really well. Except he had a heart attack or a stroke, And a friend of his was taking care of his business things and sent me a notice that there was $10,000 owed on a Bank of America card. And he asked me, do you know anything about this? I said, no, I don't know anything about this. And then there was another one. There's two Bank of America card credit cards that had $10,000 and $11,000 charged on them. That my partner, who I stupidly gave my Social Security number to. He just
unbelievable.
He had a whole bank account. So I don't know if the business made any money. Most of it went to him. So
So you never really saw much from it.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would just every once in a while I'd have to throw in another $1,000, you know, just to keep everything alive.
Wow.
Ugly. But at any rate, I had fun making the parts.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing. It's the process of seeing a problem and then trying to figure out what's the solution. That's what gets me off. You know?
I gotcha. What and I can't not ask you about the motorcycle, your motorcycle career, because I saw you did that from like 1970 to 1995, which is not a short career.
No.
And that is, especially in that field, by the way, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean this in the best sense. You didn't start into that as like, hey, I'm an 18-year-old guy. You were a little older.
I was 30 when I started it.
Yeah.
And I was up against 18-year-olds for sure.
How the heck did you?
Well, I had a motorcycle when I was 15.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew motorcycles a little bit, and it was a drag motorcycle, so I was used to some acceleration.
Didn't you actually come to the set of Father Knows Best on a motorcycle?
Yeah, I drove a motorcycle to work from time to time. Yeah.
Oh man.
Which was totally stupid. In fact, when they found out during Father Knows Best, as a matter of fact, I was drag racing on the weekends.
Wow.
And I got 118 was as fast as I ended up going.
Oh man.
And so when they found out about that, they said, no, we can't do that. Didn't mind me riding my a motorcycle to work, which is totally 3 times as dangerous, you know.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah. No, my motorcycling, that's one of the things that I look back and say, thank goodness I didn't have a movie career, because I would have never gotten into the motorcycles.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I never would have had time for that.
Yeah.
What? And did you ever get hurt, by the way?
I did get hurt. I got bumps and grinds all the time because I fell down constantly. Mm-hmm. My sister, older sister, 6 years older, she took me up to Yosemite with her skiing when I was just a little kid.
Yeah.
And so I was totally into skiing as a kid, and I would every time I'd start down the hill, I'd end up in a crash because I'd get over my head and above my abilities. So I turned falling into an art form. I'd roll out of it and into a kind of a ta-da, you know, that kind of thing.
I know it. Yeah.
So I fell all the time in Speedway too, because I was always going faster than I really was capable of going. You know, and that was the thrill of it. Was, can I make it? You know, can this work out? And so it didn't an awful lot of the time, and I would turn the fall into a ta-da thing. You know, just have fun with it.
Oh my God!
And then at the same time, my inventing abilities, I built all kinds of stuff around me so that when I fell, I wouldn't get hurt. I had these tubes of plastic tubes that went from my knee down to my ankle.
Like PVC pipe?
PVC pipe, yeah. It wasn't PVC, it was Lexan, I think.
Okay.
But a little stronger than PVC. Mm-hmm. And they had a hinge, and it was a piano hinge. I'd close them up and then put the wire in to close them down. And through the course of my riding, I busted them, time and again, you know. And I don't know whether that would have been busted legs.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it would have been hurt for sure.
Yeah.
And so that and then I invented something for my back that was overlapping plates like fish scales. Would fish scale down to cover my spine. and about this wide and about that big.
That's smart move.
Yeah, and I did get run into one of the guys that introduced me to Speedway, Sonny Nutter. He T-boned me. I fell down in front of him or something, and he ran the front wheel right into my back. And if I hadn't had that shielding on, I might have been a paraplegic right there.
Wow.
So I had for a time. They were a little too clumsy, but I used hockey gloves.
How'd you grip how the heck did you use a hockey glove?
Well, underneath there's not much, but on top there's a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But it was a little clunky.
Yeah.
But I went out of my way to put stuff, hockey stuff on my elbows and shoulders and hip pointers, and so I went out of my way to not get hurt. And I didn't get hurt except for one time I was sliding and coming out of the turn, and I was crossed up a little bit, and I inched up to the wall, and I was real close to the wall, and my front tire, which was like at this angle, caught the wall and went like that, and I just went boop right over like that.
Yeah.
And my collarbone separated. It just went like that. So I've got a screw in my comes up from the bottom that holds to my collarbone down. That's the only real incident. I never broke anything.
I mean, you're really lucky.
I said, I went out of my way
you were smart
to make sure that I didn't get hurt,
Yeah.
because I knew I was going to fall, because I was going to go faster than I could.
Right.
And so it came with the territory. But luckily, the bikes are only 180 pounds.
Oh.
So it's not like a Harley Davidson falling on you.
Right.
And I got good enough to where I could compete. I never got to top 10, but I got to top 15.
That's huge.
Yeah, I thought so.
Heck yeah, it is.
And I had one race that was the perfect race. And I had 2 or 3 races that were really spectacular, but this race was perfect. And it was against Mike Bast, who was 6 or 7 times national champion.
Wow.
Bruce Penhall was in the race too, who was 2 times world champion.
Oh my gosh.
And another guy who was pretty damn good as well in the main event. And me.
Yeah.
Who's never,
Right, I got you.
Anyway, super underdog.
Yeah.
So, but I was on a bike it wasn't my bike. I was riding someone else's, and the guy who built the bike actually built it, like put the welded the frame out of this special tubing, chromoly tubing, which is super stiff tubing. The guy who rode for him usually was Big Mike Connolly, who was like a 200-pound guy.
Oh wow!
So the guy who made the frame made it out of super strong tubing, and it was absolutely as stiff as a board. There was no flex in it at all. My bike was just loosey-goosey,
Yeah.
But if you get a loosey-goosey bike into deep dirt, it goes like this and bam, it's away. You got it. But with a stiff bike, I found that you could go into the deep dirt and everything was just smooth as butter. You could just control it.
How interesting.
It was like a miracle.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get any traction on the pole because the pole is slick and this bike didn't have any flex at all. So it was just zzz, zzz, zzz. The rear wheel was just spinning and I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was on this bike and I figured out I wasn't going to do anything on the pole. So I jumped the cushion out by the wall and got into the deep dirt. And there it was just like magic, And the bike was a powerful bike too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to a main event, which I didn't make many main events. Scratch main events is where 4 guys line up against each other.
Wow.
So like I say, this was a hot race. This is Bruce Penhall and Mike Bass and me.
You got the world guy, you got the national guy. Yeah. I got you.
And so anyway, I must have, I don't remember the earlier qualifying races, but the only way I could have gotten to the main event is to do the same thing that I did every time, was to not go down to the pole where you usually went.
Yeah.
I jumped a little, like a little berm this big, jumped into the deep dirt, and Mike Bast, who was the king of the pole, he was so good that he was boring, you know. He just, and anyway, his deal was to get on the pole and then push people out of the way and go by them. So normally that's what he would do, is just drive the pole. Well, he must have seen me. He must have seen how I got to the main event, and so we start off. I'm on the outside, fortunately, and so we start off, and so he, rather than going to the pole, he goes out to the outside and does this big slide job on me.
Oh my God!
Slides in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I just turn it, go underneath him, and I pass him going out. So we did this every turn.
Oh.
16 lead changes. He'd pass me, I'd pass him.
Geez.
He'd pass me, I'd pass him. And I'm sure what was going through his mind is that Billy can't possibly keep this up. You know?
Exactly, right.
But I was not on my bike, you know.
Right.
And so anyway, I got the last pass and
won it.
Yeah, and beat him. So, I mean, it was a perfect race. I mean, 16 lead changes in 4 laps.
Wow.
So that's a memory. I when I go to sleep at night, I say, how did that happen again?
Exactly. You're replaying the whole race.
Yeah.
I get it when you get those moments. When you were in it, by the way, did people recognize you and go, hey, isn't that the guy from Father Knows Best?
Yeah, I got a lot of Bud stuff out of that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah? In a good way, or was it like,
well,
you know...
I mean, by that time, I was kind of tired of being Bud, you know.
Yeah.
And it didn't, I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Right.
I did the work. You
Yeah.
know, I was there. I put myself in that
And
position.
you were really memorable.
Yeah,
I
I was proud of the work that I did. You know, I mean,
Right.
I think I made Bud a real person, or I tried to at any rate.
Well, I got the feeling like you made Bud kind of like the teenager of the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried. I tried to do that with the dialogue too, but I couldn't change a word. Not a word. I never said, hey, can I not say gosh one time, you know, or can I say something other than golly gee, or, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to use crazy because that was kind of happening at the time,
Right,
you know.
Right.
No, they said that might offend a crazy person, you know.
Oh my God.
I don't know what the ration. Well, in retrospect, it was probably great training, because you know I had to make these words happen, you know, and like someone actually said them, you know, and it was difficult at times.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I could see how it would be. So when you look, you know, look, we can never change our lives.
Yeah.
You know, can't change anything. I'm the same way. You know, I look back. But is there anything looking back that you wish you could have done different?
Oh yeah. I've had 3 wives, and I was very. I could have been a better person, husband-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of followed my dick, basically. You know,
Yeah.
The ladies that I was attracted to were very attractive ladies,
Yeah.
and I just kind of overlooked other things about them that probably weren't wasn't going to be a good fit, you know.
Right.
So I got involved in situations where it wasn't fair to them, because I was just there because I loved their body, you know, and wanted to make love to them all the time.
Right.
And didn't really give myself emotionally to it very much, and it's unfair. Absolutely unfair.
Did you? Well, kind of. I guess maybe my last question here. I was thinking about your mom. It feels to me like you were very close. Is that true?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she in her later older, when she was older, we switched roles kind of. I would take her to interviews because she had macular degeneration or something.
Yep.
You can't see
That's
forward
correct.
very much. You can see like out the sides.
Yeah.
So she had to stop driving, and I ended up taking her on interviews, and she, much the same way that she would take me on interviews as a kid.
Yeah.
And I would read the script that she was saying, kind of give her a little bit of hint on how I thought it should go, you know. And she got a lot of commercials. She did one commercial that she got a Chloe for.
Wow.
And another one that you may remember. There was a takeoff on the Titanic, where it's an old lady goes to the edge and throws the jewel into the thing.
Yeah.
Well, my mother played the old lady that throws the jewel in, and then she dives in after it and gets the jewel, comes back up, and then she's seen walking out of a pawn shop with a whole bunch of money, and it's an advertisement for the Yellow Pages, because she found the pawn shop in the Yellow Pages.
Oh my gosh, that's a great one.
And so she got a lot. She made some more. She made a lot of money. She made more money in her commercial career than she did as an actress, because she was working for $125 a month or a week or something, or a day, but hardly anything in those days.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Was she, when you did get Father Knows Best, was she really proud of you? Like that? I mean, that's a big deal.
I think she'd already figured out that I was pretty good at what I did, and she let me know that, you know. I mean,
wow.
I was. We never really talked about it, actually. It was because she was a pro too. You know, it was just a job, just a way of earning a living, and but we did. I remember as a kid standing in the unemployment lines getting the $25, and that the family needed that at the time. I mean, we were living on my unemployment checks for quite a while.
Does that, because I've heard other child actors mention that too, about like, hey, the family was living on, you know, me or part of my income. As a child actor, does that put, for you at least, I mean, obviously you can only talk for yourself, did that put you in any kind of a weird feeling like, wow, I'm actually the one bringing the money?
No, it never really occurred, because like I say, I got started at, you know, this big.
Done, 5.
So it was just a normal thing to do. For me, it would be like another normal kid riding his bike somewhere, you know. It was just what happened.
It was life.
It was just the way it was.
Do you think that experience and having your mom and, you know, understand the business and that, do you think that grounded you? Like,
oh yeah. She wasn't at all. There's a cliche about Hollywood mothers and living vicariously through their kids, and none of that. I didn't experience any of that. I mean, she was a really. I'm amazed that and she had 4 kids and really didn't have, after the acting thing kind of went away, it was hard for her to manage life, and so anything that I could help with was, you know, I never felt like I was being exploited or anything like that. It was not at all.
That's cool. My final question, and we'll close the interview, which has been a blast, by the way. I've loved sitting here with you. You're, as you mentioned, you're going to Chiller, and you know, you get out to some of these events and you meet fans. What is it? You know, certainly, yes, there's a financial side to it. Whatever. But what does it do for you to be back out there and meeting fans and stuff like that?
Well, other than sometimes when there's nobody in front of you, it's kind of a bore just sitting there.
Sure.
But most of the time, when people come up and they say they want your picture and autograph, I mean, what's not to like? They're telling you that they appreciate your work, and it's gratifying to hear that your work was appreciated, you know. And because a lot of times, I think it's kind of self-serving, but I think I was so good at it that people didn't know that it was actually acting, you know? And I kind of pat myself on the back a little bit for that, but it is an issue, and I think it's nice to have it reinforced that people come up and say, yeah, I really like what you did, you know. And it's amazing. I never anticipated this, but I've gotten an awful lot of letters over the years of people, kids that didn't have an ideal family life, and they said that, and I never realized that this was happening even ever, that they saw the Father Knows Best family as something that they wouldn't have known was possible unless they saw it. They didn't have any experience like that in their real life.
Wow.
But the fact that they could see it, even though it was theatrical and fantasy, it gave them, it was a positive influence for them. They I don't know, it touched an awful lot of people very much more deeply than I had ever imagined.
That is
I mean,
gratifying.
television is absolutely incredibly powerful. I mean,
It is.
it's right up there with printing, you know.
It is.
Even more so, really, because it's there's a. I mean, the face is so expressive that it doesn't need words even, you know.
Yep.
And so it's an honor to have been involved in an industry so powerful.
Yeah, I think it's. I believe me. Like I said, I love that you have that gratitude. You know, I mean, that's cool. It's really cool. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's been my fun.
Really appreciate it. Like, really enjoyed it. Very much so.
I'd like to show you
Yeah, let's see. What do we got?
my favorite invention.
Yeah. Do you want it on camera or not?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So
In case
Billy's
there's
showing me
in
his
case
favorite
there's a
invention.
in case there's a billionaire.
Yeah. Let's see
Take
what we
a
got
picture of
here.
that.
Let's see what we got here. I'll just get it. I can't even see myself. Okay, I think we're on there. Yeah, there we go. Yep.
And here's the deal.
Yeah.
It's a champagne cork remover. The cork goes in here, this squeezes down, these things, you know, they grab the cork, and then you twist the bottle,
I should be showing you.
and it moves up to where the ridge of the bottom of the opening
Yeah.
hits these things and stops just before the cork
Like goes flying.
Clears, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you twist it back like
Sure,
that
it's
a
on.
little bit,
Yeah.
and it goes psst.
And then it's a nice, easy way to take it off.
Controlled release of the pressure. And this is gold plated, but I'm offering this in 18 karat gold, depending on the price of gold. Gold's kind
a
of
little
expensive right now.
Yeah.
But I was offering it at $100,000.
$100,000.
Number one is available.
Oh my God. That is awesome. Wow. You've just got the coolest
Take it in your hand.
All right, let me try it.
You can't believe
Let
how
me try
nice it feels.
Oh wow. That's solid.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna put. Oh, here. I guess I should have mine. Yeah. That's like really solid.
And gold is twice as heavy as bronze. That's bronze with gold plating. But can you imagine this being twice as heavy as it is?
No. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be like really in
I-
my hand.
That's one of the reasons I'm offering it for sale, is because somebody is going to say, yes, I want it, and then I'll be able to feel what
Oh
it
yeah,
feels
you'll
like.
really be able to feel it. Well, I'm glad that you showed me that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, Billy, thanks again.
Okay.
I really appreciate you. All right, guys. See you from That's Classic. Thanks for coming, and please check us out also on youtube.com/that'sclassictv, where you can actually watch and see the celebrities that are on the show. Thanks again. Bye-bye.